We like to think of Earth as familiar, mapped and understood. It's the place we wake up to every morning, the ground beneath our feet, the skies above our heads. But the truth is, this planet we call home is far stranger, far more unpredictable, and far more dangerous than most of us realize. Behind the calm appearance of blue oceans and green continents lies a restless giant, a world constantly shifting, cracking, boiling, and transforming in ways that often defy explanation. Scientists have studied Earth for centuries, but some of its deepest mysteries remain hidden, and some of its greatest threats are not in the distant future. They're happening right now, often without us noticing. The Earth beneath us holds secrets as dark as any science fiction story. A core hotter than the surface of the sun, trenches in the oceans so deep we've never reached the bottom, and frozen wastelands hiding evidence of lost ecosystems, or maybe even ancient diseases waiting to return. And if that isn't enough, the history of this planet shows us just how fragile life can be. Entire species have been wiped out by sudden disasters, climate shifts and impacts from space. Civilizations that once thrived were reduced to ruins because Earth does not play favorites, and it does not promise stability. Think about this. We have explored the moon more thoroughly than our own oceans. We have maps of distant planets more complete than the mysteries buried deep beneath Earth's crust. And yet this is the only world we can call home for now. What if the biggest dangers humanity faces are not out there in the cosmos, but right here under our own feet? What if the very planet that sustains us is also quietly setting the stage for our greatest challenges yet? The story of Earth does not begin with peace or stability. It begins with fire, chaos and collisions on a scale so violent it's almost impossible to imagine. More than 4.5 billion years ago, the space around the young sun was filled with debris, chunks of rock, metal and dust, left over from the birth of the solar system. These weren't tiny pebbles gently floating in silence. They were massive bodies hurtling at each other at speeds that could shatter mountains. When they collided, the impact released energy equivalent to millions of nuclear bombs, turning solid rock into oceans of molten lava. And Earth itself, before it became recognizable as a planet, was forged in this brutal crucible of destruction. One of the most dramatic theories about Earth's early days is the giant impact hypothesis. According to this idea, a planet-sized body, roughly the size of Mars, slammed into the young Earth with unimaginable force. The collision didn't just scar the planet, it nearly destroyed it. Debris from both worlds was blasted into orbit, glowing streams of rock and vapor swirling together until gravity pulled them into a single new body. That body became our moon. Think about that for a moment, the same glowing sphere we look at in the night sky, maybe the scar of one of the most catastrophic events in Earth's history, a permanent reminder that even creation can come from destruction. But the violence didn't stop there. In its first 500 million years, Earth was repeatedly pummeled by asteroids and comets in an era scientists call the Late Heavy Bombardment. Entire oceans may have boiled away under the heat of these impacts, only to reform as more icy bodies slammed into the surface and delivered fresh water. Life as we know it would have been impossible in such a hostile environment. Volcanoes erupted endlessly, choking the atmosphere with toxic gases. The surface was a glowing hellscape of lava seas and unstable crust, shifting and cracking under relentless pressure. And yet, this chaos was not random. It was the beginning of the planet we live on today. The metals delivered during these collisions sank into Earth's core, creating the magnetic field that now shields us from solar radiation. The water carried by comets filled the oceans that sustain us. Out of fire and fury came the foundations of life. Scientists still debate just how stable Earth became after those early cataclysms. Some argue that life may have tried to take hold multiple times, only to be wiped out by sudden disasters. Others suggest that the violence itself created the conditions necessary for life by constantly reshaping the surface, providing new environments and fresh chemical ingredients. Either way, what's clear is that Earth's early history was not gentle. It was survival of the fittest on a planetary scale, and somehow, through collisions, extinctions, and endless transformation, this world managed to endure. But here's where the mystery deepens. Earth was not the only planet enduring these collisions. Venus and Mars too were bombarded in the same era, yet their paths diverged dramatically from ours. Venus became a scorching greenhouse nightmare, its atmosphere trapping heat so effectively that lead would melt on its surface. Mars cooled too quickly, losing much of its atmosphere and water, turning into a frozen desert. Why then did Earth find itself balanced between extremes? Was it pure chance, a cosmic accident that gave us oceans, air, and temperate climates? Or is there something unique about this planet's composition and orbit that made survival possible? The more we uncover, the more it seems that Earth's history is a razor's edge of luck and catastrophe. Even the moon itself plays a crucial role in stabilizing our planet. Without it, Earth might wobble chaotically on its axis, leading to extreme swings in climate that could make long-term life nearly impossible. In other words, the same collision that nearly destroyed Earth may also have saved it, giving rise to a satellite that now steadies our seasons and influences our tides. The violence of Earth's birth may be the very reason life could take root here at all. It's a paradox that shows just how closely destruction and creation are intertwined in the universe. The scars of these early battles are still with us, even if we don't notice them every day. The craters on the moon are evidence of impacts that Earth itself endured. Only Earth's surface has healed over time, thanks to erosion, volcanism, and tectonic activity. But look closely, and the evidence emerges. Ancient rocks contain tiny crystals formed under conditions of extreme heat, hinting at oceans of magma that once covered the globe. Layers of minerals point to bombardments that delivered water and essential elements. Earth carries within it the memory of those violent beginnings, written not in words but in stone. And yet, despite all that chaos, life found a way. The earliest signs of life on Earth date back more than 3.5 billion years, not long after the planet cooled enough to form stable oceans. Think about the timing. Barely 1 billion years had passed since Earth was a molten ball of destruction, and already something was stirring in the seas. Some scientists believe life may have emerged even earlier, only to be obliterated and restarted by cataclysms. If that's true, then Earth may not just be a survivor of violence, but a planet where life is as relentless as the forces that try to destroy it. The violent origins of Earth remind us of two things. First, that our world is not as stable as we like to think, and second, that survival often comes from chaos. The same events that nearly wiped Earth clean of potential may also have delivered the ingredients of life and stability. Without collisions, there would be no moon. Without bombardments, no oceans. Without fire, no foundation for the planet we know. Earth was not given to us gently. It was forged through destruction. But here's the chilling thought. If Earth's beginnings were so violent, who's to say that such violence is truly behind us? Asteroids still streak past Earth every year. Volcanoes still erupt with devastating force. The same forces that shaped our world are still active, lurking beneath the surface, circling in space, waiting for their moment to remind us that creation and destruction are never far apart. Earth's violent origins are not just a story of the past, they are a warning of the present and the future. The planet we call home was born in fire, tested by bombardment and shaped by catastrophe. And just as those early disasters left behind the world we now inhabit, future ones may decide whether humanity endures or vanishes into history like so many species before us. Deep beneath our feet lies a world more alien than anything we could imagine, a place we've never seen, never touched, and may never reach. While we walk across the surface of continents and sail across oceans, the real heart of Earth beats thousands of kilometers below us, hidden in complete darkness and crushing pressure. This is the core, the planet's secret engine, a realm of molten iron, shifting currents, and incomprehensible heat. And though we depend on it every single day of our lives, the truth is unsettling. We know more about the surface of distant planets than we do about the interior of our own. The deepest hole humans have ever drilled, the Kola super-deep borehole in Russia, reached just over 7 miles. That's nothing compared to the nearly 4,000 miles separating the crust from the center. In other words, we've only scratched the paint on a globe-sized mystery. So what do we know? The core is divided into 2 parts, a liquid outer core and a solid inner core. Together they are responsible for one of the most vital features of Earth, the magnetic field. Without this field, life as we know it wouldn't exist. It acts like a shield, deflecting deadly radiation from the sun and cosmic rays from deep space. Without it, the solar wind would strip away the atmosphere, boil off the oceans and leave Earth as barren as Mars. But here's where the mystery begins. How exactly does this shield work, and why is it weakening? Scientists believe the magnetic field is created by the movement of molten iron in the outer core. These swirling currents generate electricity, which in turn creates a magnetic field, a process known as the geodynamo. It's a brilliant natural machine, but it's also unstable. Magnetic poles wander, shift, and sometimes even flip entirely. Evidence in ancient rocks shows that the north and south poles have reversed dozens of times throughout history. Imagine waking up one day to find that compasses point south instead of north. It sounds impossible, but it has happened before, and it will happen again. The real question is when and what it will mean for humanity. What makes this more unnerving is the fact that Earth's magnetic field has been weakening for centuries. Satellites have detected vast anomalies, like the South Atlantic anomaly, where the magnetic shield is disturbingly thin. In these regions, radiation seeps closer to the surface, interfering with satellites and exposing technology to damage. If the field continues to weaken, the consequences could ripple across everything we depend on: power grids, communications, GPS, even airplanes. And if the field collapses entirely during a pole reversal, Earth could be exposed to radiation levels that would devastate ecosystems and human society alike. But the mysteries don't end there. The inner core itself is a puzzle that has scientists scratching their heads. It's solid, yet the heat at that depth is greater than the surface of the Sun, about 6,000 degrees Celsius. So why doesn't it melt? The answer is pressure. The sheer weight of Earth's layers pressing inward forces iron into a solid state, even at temperatures that would otherwise vaporize it. Yet recent studies suggest the inner core may not be a simple solid after all. Some evidence points to it being partly mushy, with regions of different composition. Others claim the inner core may even be shifting, rotating at a slightly different speed than the rest of the planet. If that's true, Earth itself has a heart that spins independently, a ghostly engine turning beneath us in silence. And then comes the speculation, the whispers of possibilities that science can't confirm, but can't entirely dismiss. What if changes in the core are linked to catastrophic events on the surface? Some researchers suggest that fluctuations in the magnetic field could correspond to mass extinctions, climate upheavals, or even sudden geological disasters. Imagine if the weakening of the field today is a warning sign, a subtle shift before something bigger, a reversal, a collapse, or even a surge of radiation that could rewrite life as we know it. Even more controversial are the theories that push beyond traditional science. Some fringe researchers speculate that the inner core might hold exotic matter, or that unknown processes could be fueling its heat. Others imagine scenarios where the core could one day cool and stop moving, shutting down the magnetic field entirely. If that were to happen, Earth would become vulnerable to cosmic forces we cannot survive. Radiation would sweep across the planet, slowly sterilizing its surface. Insertions would vanish, the atmosphere would erode, and Earth would be reduced to a dead husk, orbiting the Sun in silence. And yet, for all the danger and mystery, the core is also a symbol of resilience. It has been operating for billions of years, keeping the magnetic shield alive, protecting life through extinctions, ice ages, and cosmic impacts. The fact that we exist at all is proof of its power, but its stability is not eternal, and understanding it may be the difference between survival and extinction for future generations. Think about how little we truly know. We can send probes to Mars, we can photograph black holes, and we can map galaxies billions of light years away, but the very heart of Earth remains out of reach. We rely on indirect evidence, seismic waves from earthquakes, magnetic readings, and computer models. In many ways, studying the core is like trying to diagnose the health of a person without ever being able to look inside their body. We can guess, we can infer, but certainty eludes us. That gap in knowledge leaves room for both wonder and fear. And this is where the story takes its most unsettling turn. If the core is weakening, if the magnetic field is fading, then Earth's greatest protector may one day fail. Humanity has never lived through a pole reversal. The last major one happened about 70,000 to 80,000 years ago, long before civilization. We don't know what it would mean for a world dependent on technology, satellites and delicate electrical systems. Would the lights go out? Would planes fall from the sky? Would power grids collapse under the strain of cosmic radiation? Scientists admit they don't fully know, and that uncertainty should make us uneasy, because the signs of change are already here. But perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not what we know about the core, but what we don't. What lies at the very center of Earth? A perfect sphere of iron, or something stranger? Could processes we don't yet understand be unfolding right now? shaping the fate of the entire planet. Some have even speculated that the mysteries of the core may one day tie into questions about dark matter, exotic energy, or forces we have yet to discover. For all our technology and knowledge, Earth keeps its deepest secret locked away, unreachable, untouchable, and vital. The core is both protector and threat, guardian and enigma. It is the hidden engine that powers our world, the silent heart that has kept us alive for billions of years. But it is not unchanging. It shifts, evolves, and sometimes weakens. And as we peer into its mysteries with seismic readings and magnetic data, we can't help but wonder, is the core simply part of Earth's natural cycle, or is it warning us of changes to come? Because if the shield falters, if the core slows, if the magnetic field collapses, the consequences will not just be scientific curiosities, they will be survival challenges on a scale humanity has never faced before. When people imagine the unknown, they often think of space-distant galaxies, black holes, or planets beyond our solar system. But the greatest mystery we face might not be light years away. It's right here on Earth, covering more than 70% of the planet, stretching endlessly across the horizon, and yet almost completely unexplored. Our oceans, the vast and dark blue worlds beneath the surface, are the last true frontier of this planet. We've sent humans to the moon, we've mapped Mars, and we've peered across billions of years of cosmic history. But when it comes to Earth's oceans, we've barely touched the surface. Over 80% remains unexplored. Think about that. Most of our own planet is still a blank space on the map, filled with mysteries, dangers, and perhaps secrets we're not ready to face. The deepest trenches of the ocean plunge down farther than Mount Everest is tall, descending into crushing darkness, where pressure could implode a human body instantly. Down there, sunlight never reaches. The world is ruled by silence, extreme cold, and forces that bend the rules of life as we know it. And yet, life exists. In fact, some of the strangest, most alien-like creatures ever discovered come from these depths, transparent beings that glow with their own light, predators with jaws lined with needle-like teeth, and organisms that survive on chemicals instead of sunlight. These life forms remind us of one chilling truth: Earth still harbors entire ecosystems we've never seen, living in ways that challenge everything we thought we knew about biology. And what's even more unnerving is the fact that the ocean hides sounds and signals that scientists still can't explain. One of the most famous examples is the bloop, a low-frequency noise recorded in 1997 that was so powerful it could be heard thousands of miles away. For years, researchers speculated wildly about what it could be. Some even imagined a creature larger than any whale, lurking in the abyss. The official explanation is that it came from ice quakes, massive shifts in icebergs. But not everyone is convinced. The ocean is vast, dark, and almost impossible to monitor completely. If there was something massive down there, some ancient leviathan or undiscovered species, it could easily escape our notice. And the mysteries aren't limited to strange noises or alien creatures. Entire ships and planes have vanished in stretches of ocean like the Bermuda Triangle, fueling speculation about forces we can't explain. Scientists argue most of these disappearances are due to storms, currents, or human error, but the sheer number of unexplained incidents keeps the theories alive. From whispers of underwater volcanoes creating sudden bubbles that sink vessels, to wilder ideas about energy anomalies or hidden entrances to another world, the ocean continues to feed both science and myth. What makes the ocean even more unnerving is its role in Earth's history. Beneath the waves lie the ruins of civilizations swallowed by rising seas. Archaeologists have found hints of ancient cities buried underwater, from structures off the coast of Japan to possible ruins near India. Then there's the danger lurking in its depths. Earthquakes under the ocean can unleash tsunamis that race across entire seas, striking with devastating force. Volcanic eruptions can occur without warning, sending plumes of ash and toxic gases into the water. Scientists even worry about methane hydrates, frozen deposits of gas trapped under the seabed. If these are suddenly released, they could destabilize the climate, creating a chain reaction of warming and disaster. It's a chilling reminder that the ocean is not just a passive background, it's an active, dangerous system with the power to reshape the planet in an instant. But perhaps the most unsettling mystery is what the oceans might still be hiding. Some researchers believe there may be entire ecosystems beneath the seabed itself, microbes and organisms thriving in layers of rock and water deep below the crust. If true, that means Earth harbors life not only on the surface and in the oceans, but also hidden in dark, underground seas. Others speculate that ancient viruses and bacteria are trapped in frozen water under the ocean floor, waiting to be released by shifts in temperature. And with the way the climate is changing, those secrets may not remain hidden for long. Even governments recognize the ocean's power and mystery. Naval forces around the world keep records of unidentified underwater objects, fast-moving, silent, and unexplained. Some dismiss these as glitches in sonar or classified military technology. Others wonder if we've stumbled across something we aren't meant to understand yet. The ocean is vast enough to hide secrets for centuries, and our tools for exploring it are still primitive compared to what we use for space. It's possible that the most important discoveries of the future won't come from telescopes pointed at the stars, but from submarines descending into blackness below. Think about it. On land, we've mapped every mountain, every river, every desert, but in the ocean, we've explored less than a fifth of what exists. The rest is silence, darkness, and unanswered questions, and every year, expeditions discover something new. Creatures with glowing eyes, fish that live in boiling water near volcanic vents, even entire mountain ranges beneath the waves. If that much remains unknown after centuries of exploration, how much more could be waiting? Perhaps species as intelligent as dolphins, perhaps ruins of civilizations lost to time, perhaps dangers that could change Earth forever. If Earth's violent beginnings forged the conditions for life, its history since then has been shaped by death on a scale almost too large to comprehend. Life on this planet has never been guaranteed. The most infamous extinction is the one we all know, the event that ended the reign of the dinosaurs. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid slammed into Earth near what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The impact unleashed energy billions of times greater than any bomb humanity has ever created. Shockwaves tore across continents, tsunamis roared across oceans, and firestorms ignited forests thousands of miles away. Within hours, the world had changed forever. Dust and debris filled the atmosphere, blocking sunlight for months or even years. Temperatures plunged, plants died, food chains collapsed. The mighty dinosaurs, rulers of the Earth for more than 160 million years, were gone in the blink of an eye. Mammals, once small and overlooked, inherited the planet. Without that asteroid, humans might never have existed. But the extinction of the dinosaurs was not unique. It was just one of many. 250 million years ago, long before dinosaurs even appeared, Earth faced what scientists call the Great Dying. Even between these catastrophic events, smaller extinctions reshaped the world. Sudden ice ages froze vast regions, erasing species unable to adapt. Shifts in the oceans changed climates so dramatically that once thriving ecosystems collapsed overnight. Supervolcanoes blasted ash into the sky, blocking sunlight and disrupting life across continents. In every case, life rebounded, but it never returned in the same form. Evolution used disaster as a reset button, erasing old players and giving rise to new ones. The age of fish gave way to amphibians. The age of reptiles gave way to mammals, and through each cycle, Earth reminded us that survival is a privilege, not a promise. What's most unsettling is that humanity is not immune to these forces. We like to think we are different, that our technology and intelligence protect us from nature's fury. But history suggests otherwise. An asteroid large enough to cause global devastation still orbits out there, waiting for chance to decide its target. Supervolcanoes like Yellowstone or Toba hold enough power to darken skies worldwide, collapsing agriculture and starving billions. Even smaller volcanic eruptions can change the climate. When Mount Tambora erupted in 1815, the ash it released created the year without a summer, plunging global temperatures, ruining harvests and sparking famine across continents. That was just one volcano 2 centuries ago, and humanity nearly starved. Imagine what would happen if an eruption 100 times greater struck today. And then there is the creeping threat of our own making. Scientists warn that we may already be living through a 6th mass extinction. Unlike the others, this one is not caused by asteroids or volcanoes, but by us. Deforestation, climate change, overfishing, and pollution are driving species to extinction at rates not seen since the last global catastrophe. Entire ecosystems are collapsing, from coral reefs to rainforests, and the chain reactions could be devastating. And this leads to one of the most haunting questions: are we overdue? The fossil record shows that mass extinctions strike roughly every 50 to 100 million years. By that measure, another could be closer than we think. What makes this even more chilling is how sudden these events can be. Dinosaurs didn't slowly fade away, they were gone within a few generations. The Great Dying transformed the world in less than 1 million years, a blink in geological time. Even smaller events, like volcanic winters or sudden ice ages, can trigger collapse in decades. Human civilization is just a few thousand years old. Cities, nations, and empires rise and fall in centuries. Against the scale of extinction, we are fragile. And yet, there is a lesson in these stories. Extinction-level events are reminders that Earth is not a stable home, but a restless planet, constantly testing the resilience of life. They show us that survival depends not on dominance, but on adaptability. The species that endure are those that can change, endure hardship, and evolve in the face of disaster. If humanity wants to avoid becoming another casualty in Earth's long history, we must learn that lesson. We must prepare for asteroids, monitor supervolcanoes, and confront the climate crisis we've created. Otherwise, we may discover that Earth has little patience for species that take survival for granted. Extinction events are not just history, they are prophecy. They tell us what has happened, but also what will happen again. The question is not if, but when. When we think of threats to human civilization, we often imagine wars, political turmoil, or technological collapse. Yet one of the most relentless forces shaping humanity's destiny has never carried a weapon or built a wall. It is the climate itself. The rise and fall of civilizations across history have been bound to Earth's shifting temperatures, changing rainfall, and unpredictable storms. Climate is the silent architect of human progress, but it is also the executioner of those who ignore its power. From the dawn of agriculture to the collapse of mighty empires, the story of humanity is written as much by the sky and the seas as by kings and armies. Take the Akkadian Empire, one of the world's first great civilizations. Around 4,000 years ago, it stretched across Mesopotamia, a symbol of human achievement. But then the rains stopped. A brutal drought gripped the region. Rivers shrank, crops failed, and famine spread. Within decades, the empire crumbled. Its fall was not due to armies or invasions, but to the sky above and the earth beneath, refusing to cooperate. The same story played out centuries later with the Maya in Central America. Flourishing cities with towering pyramids were suddenly abandoned as drought tightened its grip. For the people, it must have felt like the gods themselves had turned away, but in reality, it was the climate reshaping history. But climate does not only destroy, it transforms. During the Little Ice Age from the 14th to 19th centuries, Europe endured colder winters, shorter growing seasons, and harsher storms. These conditions sparked famine, rebellion, and waves of disease. Yet they also forced innovation. Societies adapted with new agricultural techniques, hardier crops, and eventually industrial progress. Climate challenged humanity, and humanity answered, but always at a cost. What makes climate shifts so dangerous is their speed. Human societies are built for stability. Fields need predictable seasons, cities need stable coastlines, and trade relies on reliable routes. When the climate shifts faster than people can adapt, collapse follows. Today, scientists warn that we may be living through the fastest climate shift in human history, not caused by distant volcanoes or solar cycles, but by ourselves. Rising carbon emissions are heating the planet, melting ice caps, and raising seas at a pace unseen in thousands of years. Storms grow stronger, droughts grow longer, and wildfires spread wider. Just as past civilizations fell when they ignored climate, modern humanity risks repeating their fate. The warnings are everywhere. Island nations already watch their shores vanish beneath rising seas. Farmers across Africa and Asia struggle as droughts choke crops and rivers run dry. Cities face unprecedented floods as rainfall becomes more violent. Each of these echoes the past. Civilizations undone by changes they could not control. The difference is that this time, we know what is happening, and we are the cause. That knowledge is both a burden and a chance to alter the story before it is too late. But will we? history suggests that humans rarely act until collapse is already upon them. The Maya built temples even as drought destroyed their fields. Rome fought wars even as its climate weakened its foundations. Are we any different, building skyscrapers and burning fuel even as seas rise and storms intensify? Perhaps the most chilling lesson of climate and civilization is not just that nature shapes us, but that we often refuse to see it until it's too late. And yet, hope exists. Just as climate has forced innovation in the past, it may push humanity toward a new age. Renewable energy, sustainable farming, and global cooperation may emerge not as luxuries, but as necessities for survival. In the end, climate is both destroyer and teacher. It shows us that we are small, fragile, and temporary, but also that we are capable of adaptation, creativity, and resilience. The real question is whether we will adapt in time. Will the climate shifts of our era mark the fall of modern civilization, remembered by future species as another cautionary tale? Or will they mark the beginning of a transformation, where humanity finally learns to live not against nature but with it? As history proves, the climate never waits. It shifts, it changes, and it demands a response. Civilizations that answer survive, those that don't vanish into ruins, and right now, Earth is asking humanity the same question it has asked countless empires before. Will you adapt, or will you fall? Beneath our feet lies a world we almost never think about, yet it is more powerful than any army, more destructive than any weapon, and more unpredictable than any storm. It is the restless Earth itself, shifting and grinding beneath the thin crust we call home. Every city, every monument, every civilization rests on a fragile skin just a few miles thick, floating on a mantle of molten rock and convective currents that never stop moving. We like to imagine the ground as solid, unchanging, eternal, but the truth is terrifying. It is alive with energy, a vast engine of tectonic plates colliding, tearing apart, and reshaping the world in ways that can obliterate everything we know in an instant. Earthquakes, volcanoes, and the great dance of tectonics are reminders that we are guests on a planet that can turn against us without warning. Consider the ground shaking beneath your feet. An earthquake doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't give notice. It just happens. In a matter of seconds, buildings that took decades to build can crumble to dust. Entire neighborhoods can be swallowed by ruptured ground, highways split apart, and power lines collapse like toys. The 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan released energy equal to hundreds of thousands of nuclear bombs, shifting the entire island of Honshu 8 feet eastward, and even altering the tilt of the Earth's axis. Imagine that. One event, lasting minutes, changed the very shape of the planet. That is the scale of power hidden beneath us, waiting in silence until it suddenly unleashes its fury. But earthquakes are only one side of the story. Volcanoes are the planet's pressure valves, violent openings where Earth vents its inner rage. They can lie dormant for centuries, lulling people into building cities at their feet, before exploding with such ferocity that the world itself is changed. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, it buried Pompeii and Herculaneum under ash, so quickly that entire lives were frozen in place. People caught mid-step, mid-breath, as if time itself had been arrested. But that was only a glimpse of volcanic power. In 1815, Mount Tambora erupted in Indonesia, spewing so much ash into the atmosphere that it blocked sunlight around the globe, plunging temperatures and causing the year without a summer. Crops failed from Europe to North America, famine spread, and civilizations trembled, all because of one mountain on the other side of the world. And then there are supervolcanoes, the sleeping titans of geology. Beneath Yellowstone National Park in the United States lies one of the largest volcanic systems on Earth, a ticking time bomb of unimaginable scale. Scientists estimate that if Yellowstone erupted at full force, it could bury much of North America in ash, disrupt global weather for years, and cause mass extinctions. Humanity has no defense against such a force. We can predict, we can monitor, but we cannot stop it. The ground beneath Yellowstone is not just land. It is a reminder that we live atop a world that tolerates us only so long as its patience lasts. Tectonic plates are the architects of continents, but also the destroyers of civilizations. The Himalayas, the tallest mountains on Earth, exist because India slammed into Asia, crumpling the crust upward in slow-motion violence that continues to this day. The Pacific Ring of Fire, circling the ocean, is a zone of endless earthquakes and volcanic eruptions where plates collide and grind against one another. The same forces that build mountains and shape oceans also destroy cities and kill millions. To Earth, creation and destruction are the same process. Humans are just bystanders caught in the middle. What makes these forces so terrifying is not only their scale, but their silence. The ground beneath us may look calm, but deep below, magma rises and pressure builds. Fault lines lock and strain until they snap without warning. At any given moment, energy is accumulating under our feet, waiting to be released. Scientists can tell us where earthquakes are most likely, but not when they will strike. They can monitor volcanic activity, but they cannot predict eruptions with certainty. In truth, we live every day on borrowed time, our fates intertwined with forces that do not care whether we survive. And history shows how devastating these forces can be. In 1556, an earthquake in China killed over 800,000 people, the deadliest quake in recorded history. Entire villages vanished, swallowed by the earth or crushed under landslides. In 1883, Krakatoa erupted so violently that the sound was heard 3,000 miles away. Tsunamis reached 120 feet high, and the global climate shifted for years. These are not isolated events. They are reminders, scattered through time, that Earth is always capable of resetting the balance. The most haunting part is that we are still not prepared. Modern cities, built with glass towers and sprawling infrastructure, are even more vulnerable to these forces. A single rupture in the San Andreas Fault could devastate California. A major eruption in Iceland or Alaska could ground air travel across continents. A tsunami unleashed by an undersea quake could erase entire coastlines in hours. We like to believe that technology has given us control, but the Earth beneath us disagrees. There are also mysteries that science still cannot fully explain. Some ancient cultures spoke of gods of fire and earth, deities who punished humanity with quakes and eruptions. Today we dismiss those myths, but the truth is we still don't fully understand the signals that precede disasters. Animals often sense earthquakes before humans do. How? Strange lights have been reported in the skies before major quakes, unexplained flashes of energy that modern science is only beginning to investigate. Could it be that Earth's fury reveals itself in ways we have yet to decode? And beyond the immediate destruction, these forces shape the destiny of life itself. Without tectonic activity, Earth might never have sustained complex life. Volcanoes release gases that form atmospheres. Earthquakes recycle nutrients that feed ecosystems. Shifting plates create isolated habitats where evolution thrives. The same disasters that terrify us are also the reason we exist. Life is born in destruction, and destruction is never far from returning. The most unsettling truth is that these unseen forces beneath us are inevitable. Earthquakes will strike again, volcanoes will erupt again, and supervolcanoes will eventually explode. It is not a question of if, but when. Humanity can build walls, predict patterns, and prepare emergency plans, but we cannot escape the reality that we are passengers on a planet driven by powers older and greater than ourselves. Imagine standing on solid ground, knowing that at any moment it could turn to liquid, that beneath your feet magma flows and rocks grind with the force of gods. Imagine knowing that every mountain you see was once a battlefield of tectonic violence, every valley a scar of Earth's shifting rage. That is the reality of our world, silent, patient, and unstoppable. And as history has shown again and again, when the Earth decides to move, humanity has no choice but to endure, adapt, or perish. When people look up at the night sky, they often see beauty, constellations, shimmering stars, the calming glow of the moon. But behind that beauty lies danger. Space is not a peaceful void, it is a battlefield of forces so immense and unpredictable that Earth itself is little more than a fragile target, drifting through the chaos. Our atmosphere and magnetic field shield us most of the time, but history proves that the cosmos has no mercy. Just as Earth's internal forces can destroy civilizations, the threats from above may one day decide humanity's fate. And what makes these dangers even more unsettling is that many arrive without warning, invisible until it's too late. Asteroids are perhaps the most infamous example. 66 million years ago, one small rock from space just a few miles wide ended the age of the dinosaurs in a matter of hours. The Chicxulub impact blasted a crater nearly 100 miles across, threw billions of tons of debris into the air, and set the planet on fire. The dinosaurs, who had reigned for over 160 million years, never stood a chance. That single event opened the door for mammals and eventually humans, but it also serves as a warning. The same type of disaster could strike again. Thousands of near-Earth objects are tracked today, and while most pose no immediate threat, scientists admit that countless smaller ones remain undetected. A rock just half a mile wide could wipe out entire nations. Even one the size of a football field could level a city and darken skies for months. The terrifying truth is that Earth is still in the cosmic shooting gallery, and asteroids do not care who rules the planet. But asteroids are only the beginning. Solar flares and coronal mass ejections, the sun's violent outbursts, can blast streams of charged particles toward Earth, overwhelming our magnetic defenses. Normally, these storms paint the sky with auroras, harmless lights shimmering over the poles. But when the sun unleashes its full rage, the results are catastrophic. In 1859, the Carrington event struck Earth with the most powerful solar storm ever recorded. Telegraph lines sparked and burned, operators were electrocuted, and the northern lights danced across skies as far south as the Caribbean. If a storm of that magnitude hit today, our technology-driven world would be thrown into chaos. Power grids could collapse, satellites could fry, and communication systems could vanish overnight. Planes would be grounded, financial systems paralyzed, and billions left in darkness. Civilization, so dependent on fragile electronics, could be undone by a single burst of solar fury lasting just minutes. And then there are gamma-ray bursts, brief flashes of radiation from collapsing stars or merging neutron stars. Though rare, if one ever struck Earth directly, it could strip away our ozone layer in seconds, leaving life exposed to deadly solar radiation. Some scientists believe that mass extinctions in Earth's past may have been triggered by such events, invisible assassins from across the galaxy. There would be no warning, no defense, just a sudden invisible wave sweeping across our planet, altering life forever. It is a chilling reminder that not all dangers need to come from within our solar system. Sometimes the universe itself decides the fate of worlds. Even our own moon, which we often see as a gentle guardian, hides a history of violence. Its surface is scarred with craters from impacts that could easily have devastated Earth if the moon had not taken the blow. Some scientists believe the moon acts as a cosmic shield, absorbing hits meant for us. But if a rock large enough slips past that shield, we would be powerless to stop it. And while space agencies are working on plans to deflect asteroids like NASA's DART mission, which successfully altered the path of a small asteroid in 2022, the technology is still in its infancy. Against a truly massive impactor, our only defense is hope. But cosmic threats are not limited to objects falling from the sky or radiation blasting across the void. Even the very orbits of planets can bring danger. Earth's tilt and wobble shifts slowly over thousands of years, altering climates in ways that have triggered ice age. Jupiter, the giant of the solar system, pulls on comets and asteroids with its immense gravity, sometimes saving Earth by swallowing them, but sometimes hurling them inward on collision courses. Our planet is caught in a cosmic dance of forces we cannot control, where a single shift in gravity could rewrite the story of life. And perhaps most mysterious of all are the things we still don't fully understand. Unidentified aerial phenomena are being studied more seriously than ever before, with governments admitting they don't always know what streaks across our skies. While most may have explanations, some could hint at technologies or dangers beyond our comprehension. If Earth is vulnerable to asteroids and solar storms, what about threats we haven't even identified yet? The universe is vast and humanity has barely begun to explore its true scale. What makes cosmic threats so terrifying is the sense of helplessness. We cannot stop the sun from flaring. We cannot block a gamma-ray burst. We cannot predict every asteroid hurtling toward us. Our entire civilization depends on a delicate balance of forces in space, a balance that could be shattered at any moment. For all our progress, we remain at the mercy of the cosmos, as fragile as the dinosaurs once were. And yet, these threats are also opportunities. They remind us why space exploration matters. By studying asteroids, we learn how to deflect them. By monitoring the sun, we prepare for solar storms. By exploring beyond Earth, we may one day find new homes for humanity, spreading our species across the stars so that no single disaster can erase us forever. The same cosmos that threatens us also offers our greatest hope for survival, if we have the courage to face it. The truth is simple. Earth is not safe. It never has been. From the skies above and the depths below, dangers surround us on every side. But knowing that is not a reason for despair, it is a call to action. The dinosaurs had no choice when their time came. Humanity does. Whether we adapt, innovate and prepare will determine if we survive the next cosmic threat, or if we become just another forgotten chapter in the universe's long history of worlds that could not endure. If Earth is a world of fire beneath its crust and oceans covering its surface, then the poles are its frozen crown, vast expanses of ice, stretching beyond the horizon. At first glance, these frozen landscapes appear lifeless, static, unchanging, but nothing could be further from the truth. The ice of our planet is alive in its own way, creeping, shifting, and cracking across centuries. It hides secrets older than humanity, and its fate may very well decide our own. The frozen poles, the glaciers clinging to mountains, and the permafrost buried under tundra are not just icy backdrops to Earth's story. They are active players, holding power over climate, sea levels, and even the survival of civilization. The balance of ice and fire beneath our world is a fragile one, and the scale is tipping faster than anyone expected. Glaciers are often called rivers of ice, but they are more like slow-motion avalanches sculpting the land itself. Over millions of years, glaciers have carved valleys, shaped mountains, and left behind landscapes that define continents. But as they retreat under modern warming, they reveal secrets trapped for tens of thousands of years. Deep inside the ice are bubbles of ancient air, snapshots of Earth's atmosphere long before civilization. By studying them, scientists have uncovered the terrifying truth that carbon dioxide levels today are higher than at any point in the last 800,000 years. The ice does not freeze water, it freezes history, and the story it tells is one of a planet now entering unknown territory. But frozen secrets aren't limited to ancient air. Beneath glaciers and permafrost lie viruses and bacteria locked away since the Ice Age. As the Arctic warms, scientists have revived microbes tens of thousands of years old, still alive and waiting. While most are harmless, some could be dangerous, carrying traits our immune systems have never encountered. Imagine a disease older than humanity itself suddenly re-emerging because the ice that once buried it is gone. It sounds like science fiction, but it is already happening on a small scale, and as more ice melts, the risks grow. The ice does not just hide the past, it can release it. Even stranger are the ecosystems that exist beneath the ice. In Antarctica, beneath miles of frozen sheets, scientists have discovered hidden lakes sealed away for millions of years, cut off from the outside world. In the darkness, without sunlight, microbes thrive, feeding on minerals and chemicals from the bedrock below. These are alien worlds beneath our own feet, showing us how life can adapt in conditions once thought impossible. They raise haunting questions. If Earth hides entire ecosystems beneath its ice, what else might be waiting, unseen in the frozen dark? Could these hidden worlds contain new forms of life or reminders of Earth's deep history that challenge what we think we know about evolution? And then there is the fire beneath the ice. Antarctica, often imagined as a frozen wasteland, is actually dotted with volcanoes, some of them hidden beneath the ice sheet itself. The clash of freezing cold and volcanic heat creates bizarre environments where ice melts from below, carving channels and lakes. If one of these volcanoes erupts with enough force, it could destabilize entire glaciers, unleashing torrents of water into the sea. The same is true in Iceland, where fire and ice coexist violently, with eruptions melting glaciers and floods roaring across the land. Earth's frozen regions are not lifeless. They are battlegrounds between the forces of fire below and cold above, a fragile balance that can tip without warning. But the greatest danger the ice holds is in its potential to reshape the entire planet. Glaciers and ice sheets lock away more than 2/3 of Earth's fresh water. If even a fraction of that melts, sea levels rise. If all of it melts, coastlines as we know them vanish. Cities like New York, London, and Tokyo would drown. Entire nations would disappear beneath the waves. Already Greenland's ice sheet is melting at an accelerating pace, pouring billions of tons of water into the oceans every year. Antarctica, once thought to be stable, is showing cracks along its edges, massive icebergs breaking away like teeth falling from a giant's jaw. The process is slow to the human eye but rapid in geological terms, and once it begins, it is nearly impossible to stop. The melting ice also plays tricks with Earth's climate systems. Fresh water pouring into the oceans can disrupt currents that regulate weather across the globe. The Gulf Stream, which keeps Europe warm, is already showing signs of weakening. If it collapses, Europe could freeze even as the rest of the world burns. This paradox, melting ice leading to sudden cold, is a reminder of how interconnected Earth's systems truly are. Fire and ice are not separate. They are partners in a dance that decides the fate of civilization. And as the ice melts, the land beneath it groans. Glaciers are so heavy that they press continents down into the mantle. As they retreat, the land begins to rise, shifting fault lines and stirring seismic activity. Entire regions could experience new earthquakes and volcanic eruptions triggered not by direct tectonic movements, but by the simple absence of ice. Imagine earthquakes shaking regions once thought stable, not because of anything humans did directly, but because ancient glaciers finally released their grip. Yet despite these dangers, the frozen parts of Earth continue to inspire awe. The auroras that dance across polar skies are born from solar winds colliding with Earth's magnetic field, a reminder that the ice is also a stage for cosmic beauty. The creatures that survive there, penguins, polar bears, seals, have adapted in ways that seem almost miraculous, showing resilience where humans would freeze in minutes. But even these icons of survival are under threat. As the ice retreats, their habitats vanish, and they face extinction not from predators, but from the disappearance of the frozen world itself. Perhaps the most haunting thought is that the ice is a mirror of our choices. It reflects the past, storing history in bubbles of air. It reflects the present, shrinking before our eyes. And it reflects the future, warning us of what may come if we fail to act. The ice is not just passive scenery, it is a clock, ticking away the time we have left to change our path. And yet, for all its warnings, the ice is also mystery. Beneath Antarctica may lie mountain ranges as tall as the Alps, rivers flowing in secret, and perhaps life adapted to a world humans have never seen. The ice hides as much as it reveals, keeping its deepest secrets for the future. Will we be ready when those secrets emerge? Or will the melting of Earth's frozen crown be remembered, not as a scientific triumph, but as the beginning of our undoing? The truth is simple. The story of ice and fire is the story of Earth itself. Creation and destruction, freezing and burning, silence and eruption. It is a story still being written, and humanity is now a character within it. The frozen crown of our planet is changing faster than at any point in recorded history. Whether it becomes a symbol of resilience or a warning of collapse depends not on Earth but on us. Above us stretches a shield so thin it would vanish into nothing if we could hold it in our hands. The atmosphere, a fragile blanket of gases, is all that stands between life on Earth and the endless void of space. It is invisible, intangible, and yet without it, oceans would boil away, forests would burn, and every breath we take would be impossible. This thin veil, just a few dozen miles thick compared to the planet's size, is our lifeline, a barrier against cosmic radiation, scorching heat, and freezing cold. But it is also delicate, constantly shifting, and vulnerable, not only to natural forces, but to the choices humanity makes. To understand how fragile our existence truly is, we must look up, not at the stars, but at the invisible shield that keeps those stars from destroying us. The atmosphere does more than provide air. It regulates Earth's climate, carrying warmth from the equator toward the poles, creating wind systems that drive weather patterns, and holding in just enough heat to keep the planet from freezing solid. Without its greenhouse effect, Earth would be a frozen rock, but too much of that effect, and the planet tips into chaos. Venus is the perfect warning. Its atmosphere, thick with carbon dioxide, traps so much heat that surface temperatures reach over 800 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. Scientists warn that if we push Earth's greenhouse effect too far, we could tip toward a similar fate. Not as extreme, perhaps, but catastrophic enough to end civilization as we know it. But the atmosphere isn't just about heat. It is a battlefield of storms, winds, and forces that shape our daily lives. Hurricanes form from warm ocean waters, spiraling into monsters that can flatten entire cities. Tornadoes touch down with winds so violent they shred houses in seconds. Heat waves scorch crops and melt roads, while blizzards paralyze nations with snow and ice. Every storm, every gust of wind is a reminder that our shield is not calm. It is restless, unpredictable, and sometimes deadly. And as climate change intensifies, These storms grow stronger, fueled by oceans that are hotter and skies that hold more water vapor. We are only beginning to see what the atmosphere is capable of when pushed beyond its balance. The atmosphere also carries mysteries we still don't fully understand. Strange red and blue flashes, called sprites and elves, dance above thunderstorms, glowing like alien lights in the upper sky. Scientists know they are bursts of electrical activity, but their exact triggers remain unclear. Then there are the jet streams, rivers of air that race around the globe, steering storms and shaping seasons. A slight shift in their paths can turn farmland into desert, or unleash floods where none were expected. The atmosphere is not a simple layer of gas. It is a living, breathing system that reacts to both cosmic forces and human actions. And speaking of cosmic forces, the atmosphere is our only defense against constant bombardment from space. Every day, thousands of meteoroids strike Earth's skies, most no larger than a pebble. The atmosphere burns them up in fiery streaks, what we call shooting stars. Without it, Earth's surface would look like the moon, scarred with craters from endless impacts. But the atmosphere does more than block rocks. It shields us from radiation. Cosmic rays, solar flares, and ultraviolet light would sterilize the planet without the gases that filter them. Our magnetic field plays its part, deflecting charged particles, but it is the atmosphere that makes Earth habitable. That shield, however, is not indestructible. Holes in the ozone layer once exposed humanity to dangerous levels of UV radiation, and though action was taken to repair it, the warning remains clear: damage the shield, and we damage ourselves. Perhaps the most unsettling truth about the atmosphere is how thin it really is. If Earth were the size of an apple, the atmosphere would be no thicker than the skin. That's all that separates life from the vacuum of space, and yet humanity often treats it as a dumping ground, filling it with smoke, chemicals, and greenhouse gases, as though it were infinite. But it is not infinite. It is delicate, and the more we alter it, the more it turns against us. Rising carbon levels trap more heat, intensifying storms, air pollution chokes cities, killing millions silently every year. Even the balance of oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide that keeps us alive can be shifted if we push too far. History shows that civilizations have fallen when their atmosphere turned hostile. Dust storms in the American Dust Bowl of the 1930s drove farmers off their land, caused by poor soil management and drought. Volcanic eruptions like Tambora in 1815 filled the skies with ash, altering weather worldwide and causing famine. These were small glimpses of what happens when the atmosphere changes suddenly. Today, the changes are slower but more widespread. Heat waves that once came once a century now arrive every few years. Floods that used to be rare are now routine. The fragile balance of our shield is tipping, and with it the stability of the world we know. But for all its dangers, the atmosphere is also miraculous. It allows sound to travel, enabling speech, music, and communication. It creates sunsets of fiery red and gold as light bends through particles. It carries scents and rain, snow and storms, everything that makes Earth feel alive. Even the very air we breathe, taken for granted with every inhale, is a gift of this invisible shield. Without plants producing oxygen, and the atmosphere holding it, life would suffocate in minutes. Every breath is a reminder that the shield is not just protection, it is life itself. And yet, we are pushing it to the brink. Scientists warn that if carbon levels continue to rise, if pollution continues unchecked, the atmosphere will change in ways we cannot easily reverse. Seas will rise, storms will worsen, and regions of Earth may become uninhabitable. Already, millions are displaced by climate-related disasters, a preview of what may come. The atmosphere is speaking to us in the language of storms, floods, and heat waves. The question is whether we will listen. There is a strange irony in all of this. We dream of colonizing Mars, a planet with an atmosphere too thin to breathe and too weak to shield us. We imagine building domes, creating artificial air, and surviving in a hostile world. Yet here on Earth we already have the perfect shield, and we are tearing holes in it. If humanity cannot protect the atmosphere of the one planet made for us, what chance do we have on any other? The atmosphere is our most fragile treasure, invisible yet essential, calm yet violent, protective yet dangerous. It is the thin line between life and death, between a thriving planet and a barren rock. and it will endure long after humanity is gone, reshaping itself as Earth always does. The question is whether we will be part of that future, or just another species that ignored the warnings of the air we breathe. Time is the one force no planet, no star, no civilization can escape. For Earth, time is both creator and destroyer, sculpting mountains, splitting continents, and erasing species with the patience of eternity. When we look around, it feels as though the world has always been this way. Oceans where oceans are, mountains where mountains rise, continents in the shapes we know from maps. But the truth is, this Earth is only a snapshot, a temporary arrangement in a story billions of years long. The land beneath us drifts like rafts on molten seas. The skies shift with cycles older than humanity, and the very fate of the planet itself is already written in the distant fires of the sun. To understand Earth's future, we must first understand that nothing here is permanent. Continents themselves are wanderers. Hundreds of millions of years ago, all the land was fused into one supercontinent, Pangaea. Dinosaurs roamed its forests, seas lapped its edges, and then slowly cracks formed. Over millions of years, tectonic forces tore it apart, scattering continents like pieces of a puzzle. Today they drift still, moving inches per year, but over geologic time, those inches add up to oceans opening and closing, mountains rising and crumbling. The Atlantic Ocean, once young and narrow, grows wider every year. The Himalayas, tallest mountains on Earth, continue to rise as India pushes relentlessly into Asia. In another 200 million years, the continents will merge again into a new supercontinent, though its name is only speculation. Pangaea Proxima, Novo Pangaea, or perhaps something no human will ever speak aloud. The land we think of as eternal will be reshaped into something entirely new, as it has been countless times before. But shifting continents are only part of Earth's slow transformation. The planet's climate is shaped not just by human action, but by cycles of time measured in tens of thousands of years. Earth wobbles on its axis, tilts and shifts its orbit in patterns called Milankovitch cycles. These subtle changes decide whether ice sheets spread across continents or retreat to the poles, whether deserts bloom or forests die. Ice ages come and go like breaths of the planet, erasing entire landscapes and forcing life to adapt or perish. 10,000 years ago, ice covered much of North America and Europe. In the future, if cycles continue, new glaciers may advance again. Humanity may think it controls the climate, but in truth, we live at the mercy of time's slow rhythms. On longer scales, the fate of Earth is tied to its star. The sun is not eternal. It is a living furnace burning through its fuel, slowly growing hotter. Scientists estimate that within 1 billion years, the sun's increasing brightness will boil away Earth's oceans, sterilizing the surface. Long before that, rising temperatures may make the planet hostile to life as we know it. Plants may wither, oxygen levels may plummet, and Earth may become a barren rock, just as Venus is today. Even if humanity somehow survives its own crises, the march of time ensures that Earth's habitability has an expiration date. Our planet is temporary, and our place on it even more so. And yet, Earth is not passive in this march of time. It fights back, reshaping itself constantly, erasing its scars. Mountains rise only to erode, oceans open only to close. Volcanoes build islands that waves eventually swallow. Earth is a recycler, endlessly breaking and rebuilding, so that its surface rarely preserves the memory of its past. That is why we find so few traces of ancient civilizations, why even the mightiest structures crumble in a blink compared to geological time. To Earth, humans are as fleeting as shadows. The march of time also raises haunting possibilities about life itself. If civilizations existed long before ours, would we even know? The rocks and seas would have erased most evidence long ago. Perhaps Earth has hosted stories like ours, species that rose, thrived, and fell, their memory lost to shifting continents and endless erosion. It is speculation, yes, but it reminds us of our fragility. Time erases not only mountains but histories, leaving us to wonder what futures await when our own age is gone. Even now, the marks of time can be seen in slow-motion disasters unfolding beneath our eyes. Coastlines retreat as seas rise, deserts creep outward as climates shift, glaciers vanish as temperatures warm. To future generations, the maps we use today will be as outdated as those of Pangaea are to us. New coastlines will form, new islands will emerge, and familiar places will sink beneath the waves. Change is the only constant, and Earth never stops moving forward. But time is not only destruction, it also creates wonders. Fossils buried for millions of years become windows into lost worlds. Diamonds forged under ancient pressure rise to the surface, dazzling us with their beauty. Oil and coal, once forests and swamps, become the fuels that power our cities. Even the air we breathe is the product of billions of years of life altering the planet. Without time, there would be no life, no history, no stories. The same force that erases us also gives us meaning. And yet, knowing Earth's future brings us sobering thought. One day, long after humanity is gone, Earth itself will die. The sun will expand into a red giant, engulfing Mercury, Venus, and perhaps Earth itself. If our planet survives, it will be a scorched, lifeless husk, orbiting a star in its final throes. Time is merciless, and not even Earth can escape its grip. But until that distant day, the planet will continue to change, to evolve, to destroy and rebuild. We are part of its story, but only a brief chapter in a book, billions of years long. The march of time is unstoppable. It is written in the drifting of continents, the cycles of ice and fire, the slow aging of the sun. Humanity may resist, adapt, or even flee to the stars. But Earth will continue with or without us. Every mountain, every ocean, every breath of air is a reminder that we live on borrowed time. And the most haunting truth is this: while Earth will endure for billions of years, humanity may not. Unless we learn to live not against time but with it, we may find ourselves erased, just another forgotten moment in the endless march of a planet that never stops moving forward. For billions of years, Earth's story was written by forces beyond the control of any single species. Asteroids carved craters, volcanoes reshaped continents, ice ages came and went, and extinctions reset the balance of life. But now, for the first time in history, one species has become a geological force in its own right. Humanity, in just a fraction of a second compared to Earth's long timeline, has altered the air, the oceans, the soil, and even the climate itself. Our cities glitter at night brighter than the stars. Our machines pump smoke into the skies. Our industries strip mountains for metals and minerals. And in the process, we are casting a shadow so deep that scientists believe we may be living in the dawn of the sixth mass extinction. Unlike the 5 before it, this one is not driven by comets or volcanic fury. It is driven by us. Our impact is everywhere, even in places untouched by human hands. Microplastics swirl in the deepest ocean trenches, carried by currents into places no diver has ever seen. Tiny particles of pollution are found frozen into Arctic ice and drifting in the air above the Himalayas. The atmosphere itself now carries our fingerprint, with carbon dioxide levels soaring far beyond natural cycles. Every breath we take is slightly different from the air our ancestors knew, altered by factories, cars, and the burning of forests. We live in an age where humanity has become a force of nature, but unlike volcanoes or earthquakes, our actions are conscious, driven by choice, profit, and short-term gain, often at the expense of the long-term survival of the species itself. Species vanish at a rate thousands of times faster than before human industry. Forests, once vast and endless, fall to chainsaws and flames, replaced by farmland or cities. Coral reefs, the nurseries of the seas, bleach and die as oceans warm and acidify. Elephants, rhinos, tigers, and countless other creatures are pushed to the brink by hunting, poaching, and shrinking habitats. And for every well-known species in danger, there are thousands more, small insects, plants, amphibians, that vanish quietly, unnoticed forever. Scientists estimate that more than half of Earth's wildlife has disappeared in just the last 50 years. To the planet, it is another extinction, another reset. But to us, it is a tragedy unfolding in real time, one that we are both witnesses to and perpetrators of. Yet humanity's shadow is not limited to what we destroy, it is also about what we create. Entire landscapes have been remade to serve human needs. Rivers are dammed, mountains flattened, deserts irrigated into farmland, cities rise like steel forests, visible from space, glowing with lights that pierce the darkness of night. Satellites circle overhead, littering orbit with debris that may one day fall back to Earth in burning trails. In just a few centuries, we have transformed Earth more than natural forces did in millions of years. We are no longer just inhabitants of the planet. We are sculptors of it, and in that role we carry a responsibility that few civilizations, if any, have ever faced before. The responsibility not to destroy the very foundation we depend on. But the signs of collapse are everywhere. Climate change, once a distant theory, is now undeniable reality. Seas rise inch by inch, swallowing coastlines and flooding cities. Hurricanes strike with greater fury, fueled by warmer oceans. Wildfires rage across continents, turning skies red and choking millions with smoke. Crops wither in drought, while other regions drown in floods. These are not random disasters. They are symptoms of a planet pushed out of balance. The atmosphere, the oceans, the soils, and the ice are all speaking in the language of catastrophe, warning us that the path we are on leads to instability, chaos, and perhaps the end of the human chapter in Earth's story. And yet there is a haunting irony in this. Earth itself will survive. It has endured impacts, extinctions, and climate collapses far worse than anything we have unleashed. The planet will heal in time, forests will return, new species will evolve, oceans will stabilize. The question is not whether Earth can endure, it is whether humanity can. We are not destroying the planet, not in the sense of ending it. We are destroying the conditions that make it possible for us to thrive. In a few million years, Earth will recover, but will our name be remembered? Or will we be nothing more than a thin layer of plastic and steel, buried in the fossil record, a brief experiment that burned too bright and too fast? What makes our shadow even darker is the speed at which it spreads. The asteroid that ended the dinosaurs was a single event. The volcanic eruptions of the Great Dying lasted hundreds of thousands of years. But humanity has altered Earth in mere centuries. In less than 300 years, since the Industrial Revolution, we have released enough carbon to destabilize the climate, built weapons capable of ending civilizations, and created a global system so interconnected that a single collapse could ripple across the planet in weeks. We are a force of extinction compressed into fast forward, and time is running out to change course. And yet, within this shadow lies a paradox. Humanity is also capable of incredible creation, compassion, and innovation. The same species that pollutes rivers also builds technologies to clean them. The same hands that cut forests also plant new ones. We are not doomed by destiny. We are challenged by choice. The sixth extinction is not inevitable. It is preventable, but it demands that we act as stewards of Earth, not conquerors. It demands humility, foresight, and the courage to put survival above greed. But will we rise to that challenge? History offers a grim reminder. Civilizations often collapse not because they lack warning, but because they refuse to listen. The Akkadians fell to drought. The Maya abandoned their cities as the rains failed. Rome crumbled as climate and disease struck alongside political chaos. Each ignored the signs until it was too late. Today, the signs are louder than ever, written in fire, flood, and famine. Humanity stands at a crossroads, and the path we choose may decide not just the fate of our civilization, but the survival of countless species that share this planet with us. The shadow of humanity is long, stretching across every continent, every ocean, every sky. It is filled with destruction, but also with possibility. If we change, if we learn, if we adapt, then this shadow may become the foundation for a brighter future. But if we continue as we are, ignoring the warnings etched into the air and sea, then the sixth extinction will become our legacy, and Earth will move on without us, as it always has. The most haunting truth is this: the Earth does not need humanity, but humanity needs Earth. Our survival depends on whether we can step out of our own shadow before it swallows us whole. Beneath the scientific explanations and geological truths lies another side of Earth's story, one told not through data or instruments, but through myths, legends, and the whispered mysteries passed down through generations. From the earliest days, humans have looked at mountains, oceans, storms, and earthquakes, and seen not just natural forces but messages from the divine or warnings from unseen realms. These myths, while often dismissed as superstition, reveal something deeper about our relationship with the planet, a recognition that Earth holds secrets far beyond our understanding, and that sometimes the line between myth and reality is thinner than we realize. Take Atlantis, the legendary lost city described by Plato. For centuries, people have debated whether it was pure allegory or a memory of a real civilization swallowed by the sea. While no conclusive evidence of Atlantis has ever been found, the story resonates because it mirrors real events. History is full of cities lost to rising seas, volcanic eruptions, and shifting land. Pompeii was buried in an instant under volcanic ash. Ancient coastal villages lie drowned beneath the waves, their ruins found by divers thousands of years later. Perhaps Atlantis is not a single city, but a symbol of Earth's ability to erase human achievement overnight, a reminder that no civilization is beyond the power of nature. Then there are the myths of hollow earths and subterranean realms. Cultures across the world, from Native American tribes to Tibetan monks, speak of hidden worlds beneath our feet, kingdoms of spirits, tunnels to other dimensions or realms of eternal fire. Science explains that Earth's core is molten metal, not hollow caverns. Yet, we know that vast networks of caves stretch for miles underground, some so deep we still haven't fully mapped them. Entire ecosystems thrive in these dark places, organisms that never see sunlight, feeding off minerals and chemical reactions. Perhaps the myths were born not from fantasy but from glimpses into these hidden domains that felt too alien to belong to Earth at all. The oceans, too, have always carried an air of mystery. Tales of sea serpents, krakens, and monsters lurking beneath the waves appear in every culture, from Norse sagas to Japanese folklore. Today we recognize giant squids and deep-sea creatures as the inspiration for such stories. But the truth is, we have explored less than 10% of the ocean floor. Entire mountain ranges lie hidden. Trenches deeper than Everest is tall, and species that glow hunt and survive in conditions we once thought impossible. For all our satellites and submarines, the deep sea remains a frontier as mysterious as outer space. Who can say for certain that myths of sea monsters were not rooted in encounters with real terrifying beings from the deep? Even the skies above Earth are wrapped in myth. Thunder gods wield lightning as weapons, rain dancers call down storms, and eclipses were once feared as omens of doom. Yet modern science reveals strange phenomena that even today feel mystical. Ball lightning, spheres of glowing energy that float through the air, remains poorly understood. Sprites and elves, the ghostly flashes above thunderstorms, look like something out of legend. And then there are reports of mysterious sounds in the atmosphere, booms, hums, and tones with no clear source. While some can be explained by atmospheric pressure or geological activity, others remain puzzles. Perhaps myths of sky gods were attempts to make sense of these strange natural signals, moments when Earth itself seemed to speak. Legends also tell of places where the boundaries of Earth and the supernatural blur. The Bermuda Triangle, infamous for ships and planes disappearing, has fueled speculation of magnetic anomalies, portals, or alien abductions. Scientists argue it is one of the most heavily traveled regions in the world, and that most incidents are explainable. Yet even rational explanations cannot erase the sense of mystery. In truth, there are regions across Earth where compasses fail, lights appear, or strange disappearances occur, from the Dragon's Triangle in the Pacific to remote stretches of Siberia. Whether the cause is natural or something stranger, these regions remind us that Earth is still full of unknowns. Even in our time of satellites and global maps, there are places humans rarely touch. Vast jungles hide ruins swallowed by vines, deserts conceal cities lost to sandstorms, and glaciers entomb relics of the past. Each year, archaeologists uncover temples, tools, and artifacts from civilizations we barely knew existed, rewriting history with every discovery. The myth of El Dorado, the Golden City, may have been exaggeration, but the Amazon has revealed evidence of vast interconnected societies that thrived long before Europeans arrived, only to vanish into the forest. Legends often preserve fragments of truth, waiting for science to catch up. And then there is the mystery of Earth itself, why life arose here at all. Myths of creation, of gods molding humanity from clay or light, attempt to explain the same question science now explores. How did lifeless chemicals combine into the first cell? Was it a spark of lightning in a primordial soup, or something delivered by comets from the stars? We do not know. For all our advances, the origin of life is still a mystery as profound as any myth. Perhaps this is why creation stories endure. They fill the silence where answers have yet to emerge. Some mysteries are darker. Ancient myths speak of floods that wiped out humanity, fire from the sky that destroyed cities, or plagues sent by angry gods. While once considered symbolic, science has uncovered evidence that these stories may reflect real events. The Younger Dryas period, about 12,000 years ago, shows signs of sudden climate change, possibly triggered by a comet impact. Massive volcanic eruptions, like Santorini, likely inspired myths of divine punishment. Plagues have repeatedly reshaped civilizations, leaving scars on memory that became myth. These stories endure not just as entertainment, but as warnings, reminders of Earth's power to devastate and reset human history. The greatest mystery, though, may be the one we sense but cannot prove: what lies beneath the questions science has yet to answer. Are there forces we cannot see, patterns we cannot detect, truths hidden in plain sight? Myths endure because they address not just the known but the unknown, the sense that Earth is more than rock and water, that it is alive, conscious, or at least far stranger than we can imagine. Some cultures believe Earth itself is a living being, Gaia, a spirit that breathes through forests, oceans, and winds. Science may not confirm this, but it does show us that everything is interconnected, that forests breathe for us, oceans feed us, and the thin atmosphere shields us. Whether myth or fact, the lesson is the same. Earth is not just a place we inhabit, it is the source of everything we are. And so, myths and mysteries remind us of a truth we often forget in our pursuit of certainty: that the world is still full of unknowns. For every question answered, a dozen more arise. For every legend disproven, another finds echoes in reality. Earth is not fully mapped, fully explained, or fully understood. It never has been, and perhaps it never will be. And maybe that is what keeps humanity searching, exploring, and telling stories. Because in the end, the greatest mystery of all may be why we are here on this restless, ever-changing planet, telling tales about it in the hope of understanding our place within it. Beneath the calm surface of our world lies a ticking clock, its hands invisible, its alarms unpredictable. Earth, for all its beauty, is also a planet of hidden dangers, forces that lurk beneath oceans, inside mountains, or far out in space, waiting for the right moment to remind us of our fragility. Most days life feels stable. The ground does not shake, the sky does not fall, and the air remains safe to breathe. But history has shown us that this stability is an illusion. In truth, we live on a restless planet, one that can, without warning, unleash catastrophes powerful enough to erase cities, collapse civilizations, or even end life itself. Earthquakes are among the most terrifying of these hidden dangers, striking suddenly with no regard for human preparedness. Entire landscapes can shift in seconds as tectonic plates grind against each other, releasing energy that has been building for decades or centuries. Cities are reduced to rubble, highways split open, and lives are shattered in moments. Some earthquakes are so powerful they alter the tilt of Earth's axis, shortening the length of days by fractions of a second. And then there are the aftershocks, reminders that the danger isn't over, even when the shaking stops. For all our technology, humanity cannot prevent earthquakes. We can only measure, predict with limited accuracy, and brace ourselves when the ground begins to tremble. The San Andreas Fault, stretching across California, is a prime example. Scientists know a massive quake is inevitable. It's not a question of if, but when. Yet earthquakes are just one symptom of Earth's hidden volatility. Beneath Yellowstone National Park in the United States lies a supervolcano, a vast chamber of magma capable of eruptions far beyond anything in human history. A typical volcanic eruption is destructive enough, burying cities in ash or lava. A supervolcanic eruption, however, is apocalyptic. When it happens, and history suggests it has happened multiple times, ash clouds could blot out the sun for years, triggering global cooling, crop failures, and mass starvation. Modern society, with its interconnected food systems, might not survive such a catastrophe. And Yellowstone is not alone. Campi Flegrei in Italy, Taupo in New Zealand, and other massive volcanic systems all hold the potential to alter the course of human history with a single eruption. These are not distant threats in space. They are dangers lying quietly underfoot. Tsunamis, too, strike without mercy. Triggered by undersea quakes, volcanic eruptions, or even landslides, they can rise as walls of water taller than buildings, racing across oceans at the speed of a jet. Entire coastlines can vanish in hours. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami killed over 200,000 people in a single day, reminding us of the ocean's devastating power. Yet scientists warn that even larger tsunamis are possible. If parts of volcanic islands like La Palma in the Canary Islands collapse into the sea, the resulting waves could sweep across the Atlantic, slamming into continents with unimaginable force. To live by the sea is to live with this risk, even if it remains out of sight most of the time. But not all dangers come from within Earth. Some arrive from the cosmos, with little warning and almost no defense. 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula, wiping out the dinosaurs and altering life forever. That was not a one-time event. Earth continues to orbit through a cosmic shooting gallery, bombarded by smaller meteors daily, shielded only by the atmosphere that burns them away. But larger asteroids still exist, and even one a few hundred meters wide could devastate a region, while one a kilometer across could collapse global civilization. Agencies like NASA track near-Earth objects, but the unsettling truth is that many smaller ones slip past unnoticed until they streak across the sky. The Chelyabinsk meteor in 2013 exploded over Russia, injuring over 1,000 people with its shockwave. That was just a warning shot. Then there are the dangers we barely understand. Cosmic radiation bursts, solar flares and gamma-ray bursts. A massive solar flare directed at Earth could fry satellites, cripple power grids, and plunge modern society into chaos. We've seen smaller ones before, like the Carrington event of 1859, which disrupted telegraph systems worldwide. If such an event occurred today, the consequences could be catastrophic, cutting off communication, navigation, and electricity across continents. Gamma-ray bursts, rare but possible, could strip Earth's atmosphere in seconds if one were aimed at us, turning our planet into a lifeless rock. These dangers are beyond human control, and though they may be rare, they are reminders that Earth is not only vulnerable from within, but also from the vast universe surrounding it. But perhaps the greatest hidden danger is our own complacency. Earth has endured countless cataclysms before, and it will endure countless more. The question is whether humanity will be ready or if we will be blindsided. Ancient civilizations often collapsed, not because disasters struck, but because they ignored the signs. The Minoans may have been shattered by a volcanic eruption. Coastal peoples were devastated by tsunamis they could not explain. Entire empires were brought down by earthquakes that struck their capitals. Today we have technology to detect, measure, and even forecast many of these dangers. But technology is only useful if we choose to act on it. Too often, warnings are dismissed, preparations are delayed, and lives are lost when the inevitable happens. What makes Earth's hidden dangers truly terrifying is not only their power, but their unpredictability. We do not know when the San Andreas will rupture, when Yellowstone will erupt, or when the next asteroid will appear in the sky. We only know that one day one of these will happen, and when it does, humanity will face a test unlike any in its history. Will we endure, adapt, and rebuild as life always has, or will we join the long list of species erased by Earth's relentless power? In the end, the hidden dangers of Earth remind us of a truth we often avoid. We are not in control. We live on a planet that is both nurturing and violent, both beautiful and deadly. Earth gives us air to breathe, food to eat, and shelter to live, but it also holds within it the seeds of our destruction. Perhaps the only way to survive is to embrace this duality, to respect the planet not as a resource to be conquered, but as a force to be understood, prepared for, and lived with. Because in the silence beneath our feet, in the depths of the oceans and in the void of space, the next great catastrophe is already waiting. The story of Earth and humanity is not just about the past or the present, it is about a shared destiny that stretches into the unknown future. For millions of years, life has adapted to Earth's rhythms, shaped by its climate, its catastrophes, and its cycles of destruction and renewal. But now humanity stands at a crossroads unlike any before. For the first time in history, one species holds the power to either secure its future on this planet or accelerate its decline into extinction. Our tools, our technologies, and our choices will determine whether the Earth of tomorrow is one where humanity thrives, or one where our presence is remembered only as a fleeting shadow in the fossil record. The future of humanity begins with how we respond to the challenges we face today. Climate change, resource depletion, mass extinction, these are not distant threats, but realities already shaping the world around us. Rising seas swallow coastlines, storms grow stronger, and ecosystems collapse under pressure. But even within this crisis lies possibility. Humanity is the first species with the knowledge to understand its impact and the tools to alter its path. Renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and conservation are not just buzzwords, they are lifelines, steps toward balancing our survival with the planet that sustains us. The question is not whether Earth will survive. It will, but whether humanity can live in harmony with it long enough to secure its place in the unfolding story. Technology will play a central role in this destiny. We already live in an age where machines extend our senses, satellites watch the skies, and artificial intelligence helps us interpret patterns too complex for the human mind alone. These tools could become the very means by which we adapt to Earth's shifting balance. Imagine cities powered entirely by clean energy, immune to the choking smog of fossil fuels. Picture vertical farms feeding millions while sparing forests from destruction. Envision global systems capable of predicting disasters before they strike, giving us the time to prepare and save lives. These are not fantasies, they are possibilities within our reach, if we choose to build them. But technology is a double-edged sword. The same machines that can heal the planet can also destroy it. Weapons of mass destruction, unchecked artificial intelligence, and reckless exploitation of resources could accelerate our fall instead of preventing it. The destiny of humanity rests not just in what we create, but how wisely we use it. Beyond technology, the future of humanity is tied to the stars. For centuries we have looked upward, dreaming of other worlds. Now those dreams begin to take shape. Spacecraft carry probes to distant planets, telescopes peer into galaxies billions of light years away, and engineers design habitats for Mars or the Moon. Some believe humanity's survival depends on becoming a multi-planet species, spreading across the solar system to safeguard against Earth's eventual decline. After all, no matter what we do, Earth's time is finite. The sun will one day expand, oceans will boil away, and life here will end. If humanity endures, it may not be as Earth's children forever, but as wanderers carrying Earth's legacy into the cosmos. But even if we colonize the stars, we cannot forget that this planet is our cradle, the only home that nurtured us into existence. To abandon it recklessly would be to betray the very foundation of who we are. And yet, the future may not simply be a story of escape or collapse. It may be a story of transformation. Humanity's relationship with Earth could evolve into something beyond survival, something symbiotic, where technology does not dominate nature, but enhances it. Already, scientists explore ways to mimic ecosystems, to rebuild coral reefs with artificial structures, to reforest barren lands with drones, to restore balance where it has been broken. Perhaps the future is not about conquering Earth, but about merging with its rhythms, becoming caretakers rather than exploiters. Myths once spoke of humanity living in harmony with the land, and perhaps that ancient vision holds a blueprint for tomorrow. But destiny is not written in certainty. It is written in choices. We could build a future of abundance, peace, and exploration, or one of scarcity, conflict, and decline. The paths diverge before us now, shaped by every decision made in boardrooms, classrooms, and households. Will nations compete for dwindling resources, or will they cooperate to secure sustainability? Will corporations chase short-term profit, or will they invest in long-term survival? Will individuals continue lifestyles of unchecked consumption, or will they embrace responsibility as stewards of Earth? These questions are not abstract. They are the difference between survival and collapse. There is also a deeper question. What role does humanity want to play in Earth's story? Are we merely another species destined to rise and fall, or are we capable of something greater, of ensuring not only our survival, but the survival of the life that shares this planet with us? Already conservation efforts have brought species back from the brink, rebuilt forests and restored rivers. These victories prove that humanity can choose to protect rather than destroy. The future could be one where we not only endure, but leave behind a legacy of guardianship, ensuring that Earth remains vibrant long after we are gone. And yet uncertainty lingers. The dangers we face are immense. Climate collapse, nuclear war, pandemics, artificial intelligence spiraling beyond control, cosmic impacts from above. The future of humanity and Earth's shared destiny may be decided not by gradual change, but by sudden events. Just as the asteroid ended the reign of the dinosaurs, one catastrophe could alter everything in an instant. But unlike the dinosaurs, we possess foresight. We can prepare, adapt, and prevent. We can be victims of fate or authors of it. When we imagine Earth's future, it is easy to focus only on threats. But perhaps we should also focus on wonder. The same planet that unleashes earthquakes and storms also gives us rainbows, auroras, and sunsets that paint the sky. The same Earth that can bury cities also grows forests that breathe life into the air. Perhaps the destiny we share with Earth is not one of doom, but of rediscovery, learning again what ancient cultures always knew, that this world is alive, interconnected, and worthy of reverence. If we can remember that, then perhaps our technology, our choices, and our future will align not against Earth but alongside it. In the end, humanity's future is inseparable from Earth's. We may reach the stars, but Earth will always be our first story, our foundation, our origin. Its fate and ours are intertwined, whether we acknowledge it or not. The choices we make today, how we treat its air, its oceans, its forests and its creatures will echo into tomorrow, shaping whether the future is one of collapse or triumph. Earth has given us everything. The question is whether we will give back, ensuring that our shared destiny is not one of regret, but one of survival, growth, and maybe even transcendence. From the beginning of its fiery birth to the uncertain path ahead, Earth has been a world of contradictions, stable yet unstable, nurturing yet destructive, fragile yet unyielding. We have traced its origins from cosmic dust, followed the march of continents across oceans, uncovered its mysteries through legend and science, and confronted the dangers it hides within and beyond. Through every chapter, one truth has emerged again and again. Earth is not just a backdrop for humanity's story. It is the main character, the force that shapes every rise and fall, every triumph and tragedy. And in this realization lies both our greatest fear and our greatest hope. Fear, because Earth reminds us constantly of how temporary we are. Civilizations that once stood proud lie in ruins, erased by disasters or buried under the sands of time. Species that once dominated the planet are now fossils, their bones a quiet warning of how fragile existence can be. Even now, the ground we walk on is restless. The skies we breathe shift in unpredictable patterns, and the oceans conceal powers vast enough to wipe away entire coasts. Earth does not guarantee safety. It never has. Its hidden dangers, from earthquakes to cosmic strikes, remind us that our control is limited, our future never secure. But hope too, because Earth is also a planet of resilience. Out of destruction comes renewal. Out of collapse comes rebirth. Life has been erased again and again, only to return in new and astonishing forms. Even as glaciers melt, forests regrow. Even as species vanish, others adapt. Earth does not stop. It continues, reshapes, rebuilds, and humanity, for all its flaws, is part of this resilience. We are capable of destruction, yes, but also of preservation, creation, and discovery. We are the only species that has mapped the stars, the only one that can look at Earth not just as home, but as a mystery to be cherished and understood. The conclusion to Earth's story has not yet been written, and perhaps it never will be, because Earth will continue long after humanity is gone. The real question is whether our chapter will end in fire and ruin, or whether it will be remembered as the age when we learn to live not against Earth but with it. Every storm, every quake, every disaster that strikes is both a warning and an invitation to respect the forces greater than ourselves and to adapt with wisdom rather than arrogance. Perhaps what makes Earth truly extraordinary is not just its mountains, oceans, or skies, but the way it mirrors our own struggles. Like us, it is scarred, restless, and unpredictable. Like us, it holds secrets that even time cannot erase. And like us, it carries the possibility of transformation. The bond between Earth and humanity is not one of ownership, but of destiny. We are part of it, as much as the trees, the rivers, or the stars above. To forget this is to invite destruction. To remember it is to invite survival. So as we look ahead toward uncertain climates, shifting continents, and perhaps even the stars, we must never forget that this planet is both our cradle and our companion. It holds our history, our present, and much of our future. It challenges us, humbles us, and reminds us that survival is not a right, but a responsibility. Earth will endure. The only question left is whether we will endure with it, or whether we will be nothing more than a brief echo fading into its endless story.